Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Kitchen. This is Seda Röder. I'm really looking forward to another exciting conversation to someone who's really extraordinary and unusual, and the one and only female entrepreneur for this week. Oh my God! Hello, Sarah.
Hi.
Sarah Hintermayer of Evonik. Hello, welcome.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
You are the coronation of the week. I'm really happy.
Somebody has to be, right?
Absolutely. Well, yesterday we had the 50th episode. Of course, it was another coronation, but it looks like we have two in 1 week. What an awesome week.
But probably, I think it's you, the coronation of the show.
Oh,
so
that's lovely. Thank you. So you want to get invited another time, right? With all the different products. Okay, so next week we have Sarah 5 days. Every night she just won it. as she also just won. I mean, just as relative term.
2.5 years ago. Yeah.
But she is an intrapreneur in one of the largest specialty chemistry companies in the world. That's Evonik. We had the head of foresight this week. I mean, it's really also funny that we had two people from the same company in 1 week, but two totally different directions. So, Sarah, what did you do?
So basically, what I did was I used spores, that is kind of like sleeping bacteria. I put them into concrete, and that made the concrete self-healing. So basically, when it cracks and then water flows into the concrete, they heal the concrete. So they get activated, and then they start producing limestone, fill the crack. And so concrete, which is an inorganic material, suddenly kind of becomes functional and kind of becomes alive, and it heals just like when you cut your skin.
That is crazy. How did you even come up with something like that?
Well, actually, it wasn't my idea. It was the idea of a colleague, and I remember we had like this big group meeting, and there is this thing called Global Ideation Jam. So any employee from Evonik can hand in one idea, and then there is kind of an online process. Every employee can vote for ideas and can comment on it, and well, he handed in that idea, and I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And I called him, and I was like, if you want me on your team, I'm the one. So I want to help you. And then once it came to the point where we had to decide who's like going on stage, presenting the idea, because it's like on the final, it's like online voting, 200 people sitting there with remote controls. And I said, I can do it. He was like, I'm never going to do it. And well, then we won. I guess that was actually something nobody expected. Me actually the least. I was like with Evonik at that time for only half a year. So I had rarely an idea what this company was doing. And then suddenly I was in this place in a position, nobody knew what the position was doing. So very interesting.
That's actually really
point.
cool. So you basically somebody had an idea, and you basically just said, let's make it into reality. And with all your background in bioelectrical chemistry,
biotech. Yeah, I think that was the biotech part. Yes.
Yeah, I also want to talk about that, but for now, I'm just going to stick to the vocabulary I can pronounce. And then you kind of decided, let's do this. And is he still on the team?
Yes, I mean, it's actually something I think is super important. Like it's when you found a team, or when the team finds itself, which was the case with our team. People voluntarily said, "I'm motivated. I want to be there," and that's basically the best team members you can have. So you better keep them. And that's actually something which is very different when you have like a normal project team in a company, and like an intrapreneur or a startup team, or a startup in the, like, say, real world. It's people who really want to do it, and not people who are assigned to do something. And
how is that actually? Was your team in the beginning all engineers, or did you already have business people in the beginning, or how did that work?
That was actually another person from the team. He just set out, and he was like, okay, I was actually the girl with access to a lab. We had the guy with the idea. Then there was Toby, who was like, okay, kind of like organizing it all in the beginning. And he said, we need definitely a more background in construction, and we need somebody with background in business. And so he kind of like looked for people in the company with those competencies and asked if they want to join. And that was basically the team for the first year. And then in the second year, it kind of completely changed, which costs actually some time doing that. But the new colleagues that joined, they were perfect for the second phase, because they were super experienced, and then they knew there is something. We trust it's working, and now we can like make it better, and we can improve it. So that team change actually was good, but it's hard changing the team and leaving the old
change
team.
Is always hard. Let's not worry about that.
Yes.
Let's just change topics for 1 second, because we want to talk about another chemical process, which is cooking, or some sort of cooking. So 3 ingredients. What are you doing?
Pancakes.
Good.
I'm using the flour I talked to you about before. So
yeah, you don't have to use anything that kind of does, self-healing and stuff like that while cooking. Don't worry about that. And I'm also going to do something that is awesome for breakfast. And we do this actually quite often. My kids love it. It's yogurt, bananas, and some honey. So it's breakfast yogurt for tomorrow morning. It's Saturday, yay!
Perfect. That's actually super smart, because your breakfast will kind of like last, but my pancakes won't taste tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you have to immediately find a way to eliminate them.
Yes.
which can be also called eating. Well, also, Sarah, since this is such an interesting topic, entrepreneurship, I want to encourage the people who are watching the show to go ahead and ask questions on Slido, like every time. Our event code is 54865. 54865. If you guys want to ask any questions, go ahead, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. Hey, yes, exactly, 54865. In case
I saw that on the other shows, and I was like, maybe it helps if people see it again. Can you read it? I can't read it.
Yeah, you have to get really close. Sarah.
Yes.
I have a question, and it's kind of like an ethical and controversial question at the same time. If you have an idea, if you have a good team, and and you don't need a lot of money, why don't you take all of those things and leave the company and do it by yourself?
Like, actually, I think I would do it. Like, if you would have asked me, like, let's say 3 years ago, I would have said, well, I need the security. I definitely need the safety of a big company. But if you have not just bought a house, if you don't have a loan, if you don't have sick parents, children, something like this, like your risk is actually super low, you know. So if there comes like a good idea, I would just like start doing it. I mean, I think this is like this is something even my professor back at university kind of like told me. He was like, well,
but you didn't, and that's what matters. What keeps you from, I mean, right now, obviously, you're with the company, you have a great functioning team and everything is going really well. So for the product, they already started, going into scaling of the product and bringing into the market. I want to understand the motivation, taking these risks in the name of a company and not in your own personal name.
Well, actually, I started trying it. So last year, together with a friend, we said, okay, let's try, and we decided let's do something easy. Let's try to sell some gluten-free flour. So we're just buying it, and then we want to sell it on Amazon.
Okay.
And so basically, we started. Actually, we started last year in April, and then something. I think the thing which happens to everybody who starts doing something was it became much bigger than you expected. It became much more complicated. I think it actually it started becoming complicated once we realized how the pricing system of Amazon works, and you can't really have a package which is half a kilo. You need it to be 450 grams. And then we had to change the package, we had to change the label, and we decided, okay, now let's do a nice label, let's do a nice packaging, and then you get into all the regulatory stuff. And so it's something different, and it's also something different if you really talk about your own money. So
interesting. So how much money did you guys get from the competition?
So in the first year, basically I get all my free time, also, which is also worth something, and then 200,000 euros. And that's basically it. So
for 1 year or
for 1 year. So it's a budget, but compared to other let's say projects, it's not that much money, and but that is kind of like, I think, part of this entrepreneurial spirit, that you need to convince people to kind of help you with the project. And that's also something I see with the flour. When I talk to people and they're like, oh, well, I know this and I can help you with this little part. And you're like, okay, yes, please. And it's the same thing in the company as well. And I actually, like, the money was never the issue. It was always time. It was never money. It's always that you go there and you're like, do you have time to help me with this? And they're like, yeah, I know how to, but I don't have time. And business, like daily business in a company, always comes first. And that's also something I see now that I do my flower thing, that my Evonik job comes first. So this is why this goes so slow.
Yeah, well, it's more like something on the side. You just told me before the show that it's like going to the gym for you, being involved with the online shop business. But I'm also interested in your background a little bit, and of course you're a young, really good-looking female entrepreneur within a company.
Thank you very much for that.
That is like dominated by German engineers. mostly male engineers. So how, I mean, when you won with your team and you became the face of this project, and you come into day-to-day job business. So how is it actually to navigate in such a world that is, that is very much
male,
masculine?
I guess actually because of my gender, so far I maybe only once had actually, I wouldn't call it issue, but a situation. I can explain that later. It was rather my age, actually. People were always like, "Oh, you're so young. Oh, we can see you're so young. How long have you been with Evonik? How old are you?" And I'm like, "I'm super sorry. I cannot change my age." So please stop this.
But I mean, when you started at Evonik, you already had a PhD and you had studied, and it's tell me.
Maybe I just tell myself it's my age and not my gender.
Well, sometimes I think it's just a mixture of both, and sometimes I don't even think that people have anything, bad in mind, or they just still live in a world that is much different than how we perceive the world nowadays. Probably became also much more sensitive.
I mean, I told you there was one situation where it was like, oh, I don't know. That was when they were asking me about, can you imagine yourself becoming the CEO of Evonik? And I was like I wasn't saying, but I was like thinking, I don't see myself, you know what I mean. And then what I was saying was like, there was this one BL had, and I was saying, I can imagine me like her. It's kind of you better relate to probably your own gender, kind of. And
okay.
that is I think this is when you talk about role models and stuff like this, it's easier if you basically have maybe your like a person which is more similar to you, and look at that person. But on the other hand side, I must say, sometimes I think on this we need to be a bit more reflected on this topic of equality, because oftentimes what I also see, and I don't only see that at Evonik, I see that with other friends as well. If a man says, I want to stay at home with my child for half a year, that's not really accepted yet. So, and we need people to accept that as well, because otherwise it's always going to be the woman who's going to stay at home. There it's more the opposite. It's like, you only stay at home like 3 months. Don't you think that's too little? Whereas, the other way around, that is super common. And but what I also feel is that it's changing, and I think opportunities has never been so big.
Yeah, probably we're becoming more and more sensitive about this. And I know that you have a very particular interest in this topic of leadership. Tell me about the leadership network you just started, or you're a part of.
Yes, so that actually also happened last year. So last year, I guess a lot happened. So there were 3 other girls in Düsseldorf, and we met, and we were like, hey, we think there are so many women we know, and they're in business, and they're trying to move things forward. So we thought it's a good idea bringing them together. So we started with 4 of us. I think now we are around like 50. And now we see it's getting more and more professional, and we need some like organizational structures now. And what I really like about this network thing is kind of the support you get out of it. It's a lot of because it's very small, and you know all the people. It's not like one of those business clubs you go to. You're like, okay, I need to sell this and that. So whom am I going to talk to? But it's more about like this personal interaction. It's about questions. Well, something like that happened. How do you actually handle that? Or
what is it called?
We are working on the naming. So when we started, I'm going to say it. We just named it Business Girls, but I think we grew up, so we're working on the naming. If you have a good idea, So I was liking the name Female Collective. But I'm not the one who's good with names. So,
and also let's talk about the women in STEM education. You have a background in engineering. What was the thing that ignited your interest in the natural sciences?
I think it started basically with my dad. So my dad is a chemist as well. So, the apple and the tree story, that's the way it goes. But then during my studies, I started studying biotechnology, and that's a lot of learning stuff by heart, and I can do that. But then, you forget most of it. And I saw, well, there is this engineering class. So we had one engineering class, and I was like, okay, I really like this. And because it's a concept, so you kind of learn a concept and you can apply and transfer it to different problems. And also engineering is, well, you can it's basically about getting something done. So there is kind of this a very clear goal where you're going to go, and once you're there, you have something in your hand. Whereas in the, let's say, chemistry, physics, science, it's a lot about discovery, about stumbling across something super interesting, and that was actually something I really like. So for my master, I changed to engineering, and oftentimes it's the question: how was this with all the males around you? I think I can handle my calculator as well as a guy.
Yeah, well, that's what counts. I mean, still, I think it's still really interesting. You are, you have a PhD in biotechnology, and then you go into a large corporation. Within the first couple of months, you win a competition, you start a startup within the company, and then within 2 years, you hand it over to the company, and you go back, doing other things, which I want to talk about as well. But on the side, you start a female leadership network and gluten-free, the gluten
flour here. This thing.
Exactly. I mean, you are you married and with kids?
No, not yet. Are you making this a dating show now? It's a cooking show.
So guys out there.
But I'm perfectly capable of cutting, the bread slices straight.
And you're even, you can even do stuff in the kitchen. See?
Yes.
I mean, these are so many different hats. And how is it for you to, go between all of these different worlds? And my second question is also, once you handed over this project, how was the separation for you? How was it here, this is our baby, please take it over, do whatever you want with it. And now my
heart still cries, I tell you.
Oh, really?
I think letting go of something that you put so much hard into, it's always difficult. But also inside, I do have this urge of like, I want to experience new things. I want to learn new things, and that actually like goes back like into school, because I remember I was small and I was like, why do summer holidays used to be so long and now they're super short? And I thought it's kind of like, because when I was small, I didn't use stuff, so every day was exciting. So the day would be super short, but in my memories it would be super long. And then I was like, I want to make my life as long as possible. So.
Oh, and then you changed to the beauty business within Evonik, and now you
Yes.
do. What do you do now?
Well, basically, it's about developing new business models. So I think industries are changing. We have all the digitalization happening even faster, probably now than we would have imagined. And this kind of means that also, well, the sales of a chemical company will change. We might have to talk to different people. There might be online shops one day where you can do B2B business. I mean, there's Alibaba in China already, in Asia. So, and I think this is something that is very interesting. And also, again, and there it comes again, this job like opens up a completely new world for me, because before I've always been in a kind of innovation, technical, biotech world. And now I'm basically there where the money is made, you know, where the transaction happens. And I would really love to understand how. And also,
yeah, if you crack that code, could you please publish it?
Yes.
Awesome. And one last question I have before we start cracking our jokes is one thing that really excites you right now within the company, within, you know, what you see in terms of the future developments. What if you were to name one thing? No company secrets.
Don't worry.
What would that thing be where you're like, I would love to go and work on that project?
I think what I at the moment, and that comes out of this Corona crisis, actually think is incredible, interesting, is what this crisis is going to do with our daily lives. So, I mean, before Corona, people were always like, well, you can't do home office. That's not possible. And now everybody's doing it and it's working perfectly fine. And now we will come to the point that there will be this translation between what are we actually doing in real life and how can we translate it into the digital world. So, for example, I do virtual coffee breaks. And I tried doing virtual coffee breaks with like a bunch of people. And then I realized that's kind of awkward and I didn't really like it. And when you really think about it, you go to your coffee machine in the office, you get your coffee, and then even if there are a lot of people, you talk to one or two, but you never talk to the whole group normally, you know? And so I think this is something, if you really pay attention, like how conversation is happening, and then go to the digital world and see what are we doing there. We are all still learning. I think it's nobody ever taught us how to do this. And then I think there must be rules. It's like when you're a child, people tell you, you wait until somebody finished speaking and then you talk. You know?
Yeah, especially if that's German upbringing. I'm Turkish. I'm not able to apply those rules to my kids. As you have just before the show, as you could, you know, you see yourself. I tell my kids to, you know, to silence. Shut up. To silence. And she's like, "Mommy, I'm talking. Please, you be silent." Yeah. So Well, we're almost at the end, and this is the part people love. I'm hearing from outside, when people who watch the show, they're like, all those conversations, they're nice, but we usually switch in only towards the end. So this is your moment to shine, Sarah.
I have like this list with several jokes here. I was thinking we can do like a Slido competition. I just tell all of them, and then we can see which one is best.
Just do one, because we don't want to finish all the jokes on the internet. I need like 3,000 more jokes.
Okay. How can you drop a raw egg onto concrete without cracking it?
Oh, drop a raw egg on a concrete without breaking it. I don't know.
Any way you want. Concrete is hard enough. It doesn't crack.
Well done. Actually, these are my types of jokes. Okay, mine is also going to go into similar direction. Why did the kid throw his clock out of the window?
I have no idea. I don't know. Because it didn't want to get up.
No.
Okay, I want to and fly. Yes.
Sarah, are you done with your pancakes at all? Show me one.
Yes. Can you see it?
See, I'm telling you, girls can do this. This show is for female entrepreneurs.
But I still have to do some more.
Excellent. You will have some pancakes for tomorrow. Don't fry them all. Put some chemical material in it, so it's not going to.
I know you're smart.
Exactly. Just put some additives in it, and it's not going to be bad until tomorrow.
How is your yogurt going, by the way?
Oh, and my yogurt is done too. See, I'm going to make a picture. Look.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all white, so nothing fancy, but it's very, very good. It's extremely healthy, and if you want to put a fourth ingredient, go for nuts. Yeah, walnuts are amazing in this yogurt. So, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me on such a short notice without any preparation. This was really lovely. It was awesome. I wish you all the best with everything you're doing within Evonik, but also especially for the Female Leaders Network and for your online business as well. So
thank you very much.
I'm hoping that we're going to walk into each other, bump into each other sometime soon in person. And
I hope so.
Thank you for lightening up our Friday night. And thank you, people of the internet, for joining me for another exciting episode of the Entrepreneur's Kitchen. Next week, on Monday, I'm going to be hosting Plamen Rusev, the founder of the Webit Foundation. He's an amazing guy, and he's definitely one of the most important influencers in the internet realm right now. So tune in. Looking forward to seeing you again. Have a great weekend. Take it easy. Bye-bye.